on the boards of Sri Lanka Tourist Development Authority. In addition, he holds over 50 directorships in various hotels and related organizations. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Chairman Jetwing, Mr. Hiran Cooray, to address the gathering.
Aibowan, ladies and gentlemen. Such a pleasure to be here, and I'd like to thank the organizers for inviting me to speak to you this morning. I must also say I've never had such a crowd come to listen to me. Thank you. Mine is a very easy story to tell. Now, our company has been in tourism for the last 40 years, 40 plus years. We've had some golden period in the 1970s and the early 80s. And then for us, time stood still. Time was, we could never blossom out in tourism due to factors that are very well known to all of you. During the time of war, it's a miracle that we survived, those of us who were in tourism. All of us who were in tourism, we lost our confidence. We lost confidence because whatever we did to market the destination, because please remember, when we invite tourists to come to Sri Lanka, it's a country that we have to market first, not our properties. So when bombs were going out in Colombo and other parts of the country, we went outside marketing the destination. Worst hit us when our national airline also was hit. That was probably the worst airline-related disaster in the world until 9/11 happened in New York. So we battled on despite all these obstacles. We did not give up tourism, and it's a miracle that tourism survived until 2009. We survived due to many reasons as well. It was different governments gave us support, soft loans to survive. The two operators that helped us to continuously bring tourists to Sri Lanka despite the travel advisories that the foreign embassies, foreign governments put on our country. Despite all of that, the two operators did not take the Sri Lanka as a destination out of their tourism map. And also, the other reason why we survived is our beautiful people. The people of Sri Lanka, people came to Sri Lanka because of our people as well, to the warmth, the hospitality that we extended during that time. We waited patiently, we in tourism, for over 25 years until that day came. To us, I must say, while everybody in Sri Lanka benefited, we who have struggled along in tourism, I think benefited a little bit more. I think it'll be fair for me to say that we benefited a little bit more. This is something that came up on the 16th of August 2009 in a newspaper in the UK. I don't know whether all of you can read it, so I'll read it. End of Sri Lanka civil war brings back tourists. We realized that whatever we did, whatever the travel that we did to promote our destination, until there was peace, stability in the country, that nothing, tourists would never come. And you will not believe me if I tell you that our marketing program, the destination marketing program, started only this year. The tourist numbers that continue to come here came purely on peace and stability in the country. Because we are blessed with one of the most beautiful countries in the world. We have a 5-star island, ladies and gentlemen. We sometimes don't value what we have. Only when you travel outside, only when you go to see what's happening outside, do we then realize how blessed we are how blessed we are to be in our island, now in a peaceful island. New destinations, as we speak, are coming up. I'm telling you a little bit about my story and Sri Lanka's story. We, as a company, are planning, launching new destinations. This is some plan we have for Uppuveli in the Trincomalee area. This is a very exciting project for us, some place where we thought we could never go and build. This is a hotel that we started building in Jaffna. This is actually the photograph of the the foundation laying ceremony. But the hotel is under construction now, and we hope to have it ready around the middle of next year. It is something that was very personal to us, that we wanted to do something. I went to Jaffna 3 times from the time of 2010 to 2011, and the people there told me there's not much economic development happening, come and do something. And there are no proper places for people to stay. That is what really motivated us. We are starting to train 80 youth from January next year, all from the Jaffna district in Karanaga, which will be also funded by one of the international agencies, and hopefully all 80 of those youth in Jaffna will be working with us very soon. This is another project we have in Vellavaya. Again, a destination that we would never have thought that the tourists would ever go to. I don't think you as Sri Lankans would have thought of going to Vellavaya as a tourist destination. It's a paddy field, and around that paddy field we will build villas, cottages, linked with agro-tourism. If this is a success, it again will be one of the first in the world where we have the farmers also as stakeholders of this project. Again, these are exciting things that is happening now. It's very easy for me to come and stand here and talk in front of you. But 5 years ago, would I ever have thought that there would be a situation for me or anybody else to be here and talking about new destinations in our own country? We were simply praying that we will survive. We were simply praying that we will be able to pay the staff that are working with us. So again, this is with the newfound confidence that we have, that we are launching these new projects with all excitement. And believe me, when these projects open out, it creates opportunities for the people in the area. That has been one thing, that when these hotels open, it's a lot of the people, while of course we benefit, it is also the local communities that will benefit as well from each and every destination. Of course, it's not only the local brands like us, but international brands are coming in. And we welcome that. We, as I said earlier, we played the game alone earlier. None of these guys were interested coming to Sri Lanka. They used to think, when we meet them at travel forums, they used to think, we are mad to be in tourism. Aren't you guys having anything else to do in tourism rather than investing? This is what they used to ask us. Now they are all waiting, padding up to come and bat here. Earlier we had to beg with them to come here. But it's important that we have these international brands in our country because they have a wider distribution. They have a wider network. They have a global reach that we sometimes do not have. So it's good for us. And also the standards go up. We also have to play the game accordingly. Our marketing mix has changed. The customer base has changed. This is very important as well for us. Earlier, we were relying mainly on Western Europe. We used to say jokingly, when the Europeans get a cold, we get pneumonia and die here. Because if they stopped coming, we would have been dead anyway. So now it's a different ball game. It's a level playing field for all of us to go and promote tourism. The Indian weddings that are happening here are humongous. And believe me, an Indian wedding goes on for 3 days. They take an entire destination especially in Negombo, where we have close to 400 rooms. We run short of rooms. They charter aircrafts, come here, and block the entire Negombo stretch for their wedding. Over 500 people come, 3 days of party, and then they go back. So that's the kind of marketing pull that we have. And this is only beginning now. Changes in supplier base. This is a very important aspect as well. Earlier, it was only we in what we call the formal sector that was in tourism. When I say formal sector, is the people who are registered with the tourist board, who are licensed, authorized, blah, blah. Now, of the tourist arrivals that come to Sri Lanka, 30% of them, at least 30%, stay in what is called the informal sector. The informal sector is somebody like you and me who has a home, who has an extra room, who can rent that room, who has an extra house, who can rent that extra house. And that is spreading right across the country. There are different distribution channels. This is actually the website of the tourist board that I put. But there are private channels, word of mouth, different social media. Through that, they get these people coming in. So therefore, it's again another income source for many people in our country, which again, I'm sure they would never have planned to benefit from tourism 5 years ago. Our global relations are continuously improving. Different tour operators, different airlines are coming here. Earlier again, we had to plead with those airlines to ask them to come here. We went begging. When they pull out of the destination, it's a huge loss for us. Remember, we are an island, and the main source of people coming in here is by air. Shipping lines will develop, but then again, the ships come for one day, and then they take off. These are the passenger liners. So therefore, it's very important for us that the air connectivity continues to improve. Now, if you look at Emirates are flying in 4 times a day, Qatar Airways 4 times a day. Earlier, if we had 1 flight a day, we were so happy. So it's a change scenario. Different tour operators from different parts of the world. These are only some of the European operators, but different operators. The selling options has changed for us as well. Earlier, we could never get Expedia, the world's largest online travel distributor in the world, to sell Sri Lanka online. They are now selling. AgodaBooking.com. I'm sure most of you use these channels when you travel overseas also to book your own holiday. But again, these are one of the biggest suppliers of accommodation to our country. This is a very important element, the TripAdvisor. Today, social media plays a huge role in tourism marketing, destination branding, even our own company branding. What we see on these, matters a lot. What the customers say matters a lot. So therefore, we see lots of our hotels, our destinations promoted on this TripAdvisor. It's becoming like the travel Bible for anybody who's traveling anywhere. People read this. So it is again something that is very, even I think the last month, a lady from TripAdvisor was in Sri Lanka talking to us, and they themselves are promoting TripAdvisor to us now. At a time when we were trying to promote ourselves on TripAdvisor, they are coming to Sri Lanka to promote TripAdvisor to us. The ball game has changed as well. These are independent travel writers. They write on their own analysis why Sri Lanka is becoming one of the best places in the world to invest. it is, I mean, he's comparing with Bali, he's comparing with Thailand, he's comparing with Malaysia, and so on and so forth. So again, it's this kind of independent travel writers, investment writers, analysts, giving their own opinion that matters sometimes more to us. This is a female who goes around the world blogging about her independent travel as a female. And her heading says, "What took Sri Lanka, what took me so long?" And again, she goes on to write about the beauty of our country, the safety of our country, the credibility of our country. This is she's looking at it from female eyes. How it is safe for a female to travel alone in our country. Most of you are involved in different industries, and I don't need to tell you about the development that is happening here. But just to remind, when people ask me, when tourism, travel writers ask me about development and what I think of development, I always tell them, look, development is most important for us as citizens of this country. Secondly, to tourists who come here for 2 weeks. No country develops infrastructure for the tourists. I think that's what we as Sri Lankans must appreciate. Now you and I can go to Gola or Matara in 1 hour. You can come from the airport at least to Dematakoda in 15-20 minutes. Did we ever think that we could do that before? So the tourists definitely benefit. We use this to promote our destination, promote our country internationally. But I think the biggest beneficiaries are not the tourists who come for 2 weeks. Biggest beneficiaries are us, because it's we who use this more every day in our lives. So I think it's very, very important that more roads of quality are being built all over the country. Entry ports, I mentioned very briefly about the prospect of cruise tourism. Cruise tourism has not hit us so far, I have to admit. But there's huge potential in cruise tourism. Thousands of people come and they flock a destination for a day or two. The reason for the delay in cruises, more cruises coming, is cruises are planned 2 to 3 years ahead. People book their cruise holidays 2-3 years in advance. But wait and see, ladies and gentlemen, in the near future, when I say near future, 3 to 5 years' time, cruise tourism will also land here. And then it's a huge, huge business. You get one cruise ship after another coming here. So hopefully this Hambantota district will be will be having more cruises coming in there. We definitely need, from a tourism point of view, a second airport. It's a must-have. Earlier, we have been in situations where, in bad weather, the flights have to be diverted to Chennai. It's something that the international authorities, international airlines, don't generally like. So I think that whole area, the East Coast, all of that will eventually benefit from the airport in Mattala. Employment generation has happened tremendously. I spoke very briefly about our plans to promote, to educate youth in Jaffna. This was an education program we had in Tissa Maharama. Again, 120 youth were trained, and now 83 of them are working with us at Jetwing Yala. And His Excellency came with the speaker to hand over the certificates to each and every one of them. In fact, I told the boys and the girls after the graduation ceremony, all of you are lucky. You have got a certificate from His Excellency, while I haven't got. And they really appreciated. These are all youth from the Hambantota district that are, again, would never have thought of working in a hotel if they were not trained properly. City development is, look, Colombo is changing as I speak. Every day something new happens. It'll never end. I hope the development will never end. You go to Singapore today, every 6 months they do something new. They do something new. That's what has kept Singapore in the world tourism map. In the 1980s, they started doing something, they stopped it, they started doing something in the 90s, 2000, continued to do. And even today they are doing it. Because of my role in PATA, I've had access to many people in tourism planning in Singapore. They say that's their goal. Every year, 2 years, they need to add something new. So I hope Sri Lanka also, and Colombo, Jaffna, Kandy, Galle, the main cities, they will continue to develop all of that. While we are doing all this, we haven't forgotten one of the most important aspects, that is the sustainability. I'm happy Vice Chancellor Morato is here with us, who have also, helped Sri Lanka to on this renewable energy side. It is something that's growing, and it is like now for us hoteliers, for us people in tourism, it's like having hot water in the room. It's a given. If you don't do this, you can't survive in the future. So the renewable energy aspect, which is something that's a must do, and most of us hoteliers are continuing to do this, continuing to develop, whether it is biomass generation for boilers, whether it is absorption chillers for air conditioners, and of course renewable solar energy for hot water as well as for power. This is another very important thing which our minister was very keen that we were the first to start. These are cinnamon sticks at the back, and a cinnamon bundle that minister is putting into our biomass boiler. Earlier, the cinnamon producers did not have much value in this stick. They used to just use it as firewood and throw the balance away. Now we use it as renewable energy for our biomass boilers. So the cinnamon farmers get an extra income. We are continuously planting and growing trees all over the country, as we have to protect the greenness and the beauty of our island. Again, we have dedicated swimming pools for the children and the women in the area. This is in Galle, where people said that if the women and the children knew even how to float, many would have survived during the tsunami. Ladies and gentlemen, I am so happy that I'm standing here and talking about a tourism story. 5 years ago, nobody would have wanted to listen to me. I would not have had a story to tell. We probably would not have been in business. I would have been doing something else. Had the war not ended in 2009, political stability brought into our island, I don't think I would be standing here talking to you. Similarly, for us, the most important aspect is safety and stability. It is something that I've continued to preach globally. It is something that I've continued to learn through my international experience. If there is no safety and stability in a destination, first of all, again, is for the people in the country. Next, for those who are visiting the country. It is a must-have. Again, this is a clip from Rough Guides travel book. These are independent travel writers, where this is the latest edition of the Rough Guides travel. It says the good news is that Sri Lanka is a remarkably safe place to travel in. I mean, these are words that, you know, $1 million of advertising or $10 million of advertising cannot buy. It's something that's there as independent travelers, they write. So ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure talking to you this morning, and thank you again, and I wish you God's blessings.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hiran Cooray, Chairman, Jetwing. Ladies and gentlemen, talk to you all and giving you all a review and the present scenario here in Sri Lanka with regards to tourism. Right, ladies and gentlemen, with that, it's time to cut across live to Cinnamon Lakeside to hear the words of the person who has been playing a pivotal role when it comes to the infrastructure and development